The Vestige by C.A. Wynn. That was the last time. I looked over to her, but didn't get the response I hoped for. I'm not really sure what I expected. Maybe a nod. I got less than that. We were on our typical run. A gravity assist from Jupiter propelled us towards Saturn. The larger gas giant had been catching up with the ringed planet for several years. With the two worlds nearly aligned, this should be a quick 3-week trip to Titan. Even on a short run, space has a way of messing with you. You see nothing but billions of stars day after day. None of those stars ever gets any closer. Even when you approach a planet, it often seems like you'll never reach it. When you finally arrive, you get a day or two before it's time to turn around and head out again. "Are you telling me that story for a reason?" Rosa asked. My eyes grew wide. Rosa laughed. It's what she did. When you were angry, she laughed. When you were shocked, it was the same thing. It's something I had to get used to. "I like that story," I said. "Yeah, maybe I liked it the first time or two," she said. "I've never told you that story before," I said. "Really? If that's true, then how do I know about the two of you sharing Callisto for almost 20 years before you met?" she asked. She had a point. I usually peppered the story with tidbits like that. She had heard it before. "And you still think about her," Rosa said. "Why didn't you ever go back?" When someone asked about me going back, I always changed the subject. I probably tell you that story because of your name, but it's not about the rose. It's about the last time I smelled one. "Right. Not the last time you saw one or held one or ate one," she said. "Who would eat a rose?" I asked. "If you tell me that story one more time, I might eat one," she said. I'm probably making this sound contentious. Maybe it was, but that can happen when you're out here. On a vessel like the Charis, there's only room for 2 people. The ship is mostly cargo space, along with its engines. 9 out of 10 meters have to make money. The last meter is for crew and kick. In that limited space, you spend all of your time with each other. When you're alone on duty, your partner is just a shout away in the bunk. The rest of the trip, you are a pair. You learn to get along or die trying. I'd been on this run between Jupiter and Saturn for over 30 years. Some of those I did alone. Not by choice. When I could, I had a copilot. The first woman to take the job was Rosa. I'm not picky, mind you, but there just weren't many women looking for long cargo runs. I had 6 or 7 men sit in that seat before her. They were always quiet. Sometimes I'd talk to myself to have a conversation. I didn't need to do that with Rosa. She often talked over me. She didn't mind being interrupted either. Conversations with her were more animated, more interactive. It took some getting used to, but it sure beat talking to myself. "So she told you to take the rose," she said. Rosa often did this. I'd start into a story, she'd interrupt, I'd get testy, she'd act like she was really interested after all. It was like a game. I played along. What else was I going to do? I waved my hand. "For luck. It's something people say," I said. "Right, like giving someone a rabbit's foot. Only rabbits don't have feet," she said. "I wish you'd just let me tell the story," I said. She laughed. "How many times do I have to hear it?" I let it drop. Sometimes I got impatient with the game. "What happens if you go back and she gives you another rose?" she asked. When she asked that, it triggered something in me. I finally remembered telling her the story before. You don't realize you're getting old until you notice things like that. I stumbled over words I'd been saying my whole life and forgot stuff, like names and conversations. I don't know how many times I'd been surprised to learn that I'd told the story before. Up to that point, I thought it was the first time. Hell, for all I know, it was the 10th. However many it was, the suggestion threw me. "It doesn't matter if she gives me another one," The story is about smelling the rose. And now you're going to tell me why the hell that's so important, she said. I can't describe the smell of a rose, but if I catch the scent, I'm instantly transported to that moment, I said. So it's not really about the last time or even the rose, she said. No, I guess not. It's about the memory, I said. An experience you will relive over and over again each time you smell the flower, she said. As Rosa spoke those words, a tremor ran through the ship. Any description I could give would not explain how scary that was. In space, you are almost always millions of kilometers from everything. Even when you're close enough to a planet or a moon, it probably doesn't sustain life. The vacuum is uncompromising. This fact is like a shadow hanging over you. You know it's there, but you don't look. Then you feel a tremor. That's when you look. When I turned to Rosa, I didn't have to ask if she felt it. She had glued her eyes to the nav screen. I'm not reading anything out there, she said. My monitor was just as useless as hers. There was nothing in our vicinity. The vibration could have originated in the ship itself. The only problem was that we were floating. When engines aren't firing, a vessel won't shudder unless something hits it. We continued moving along at the same rate. Inertia saw to that. But inertia also revealed a problem. We're off course, I said. Rosa switched her screen. Not much, but something definitely hit us, I said. Rosa activated thrusters and put us back on course. I switched my panel to system monitors. Nothing seemed off. Now the question is, why didn't proximity alarms sound? I'll do a scan of the hull. She switched screens and triggered drones to run the length of the ship. Based on the direction, I'm guessing aft port, she said. The progress of the drones appeared on the main screen, blotting out the stars. 8 drones woke and maneuvered out of their slots along the hull. The system AI operated them, starting from the bow and working backwards along the port side. The drones moved slowly across the surface of the ship. They weren't enough to encircle the vessel, so she repositioned them to get a broad view. Light from the drones fell across the exterior of the vessel, exposing the cargo pods. These containers were attached to the ship, like ribs along a spine. As the drones neared the stern, their lights finally revealed something. What the hell is that? Rosa's voice trailed off. She'd done better than I could. I had no words at all. A dark patch appeared on one of the pods. It could have been a hole or a stain on the exterior of the container. It was hard to tell from that distance. The irregular shape resembled a smear, like an ink splotch. Whatever it was, it could have splashed across the ship, but the material appeared isolated to that one spot. Within the dark shape, there was a scattering of flashes. The glints didn't have any pattern, some faint and some bright, with different colors and frequencies. They're almost hypnotic, Rosa said as she directed the AI to examine it more closely. All 8 drones descended on the black splotch. As they did, the object's shape became clearer. It was irregular, like a puddle, with thin parts stretching out like limbs. Is it moving? Rosa asked. There's no way it can be moving, right? I mean, in vacuum? I didn't respond. It wasn't that I didn't want to. Rosa's question got to the heart of things. It didn't look like we had been hit by a rock or a vessel. Instead, it seemed like something soft and amorphous, though it appeared flat. If it was moving, then it was probably alive. That idea went against everything we know about vacuum. While we could make out its perimeter, nothing told us how far it extended. It was like a shadow, presenting as a single dimension. When the drones neared the blackness, the flashing intensified. Without warning, all the drone feeds cut out. That's not good, she said. The AI recorded the loss of 8 drones. It did not indicate what shut them down. There was no status for the devices, as though they had disconnected from the system. It was our entire fleet. Sensors showed them outside the ship, 8 shapes drifting with us, each inert. Those same sensors failed to detect the stain on the hull. I bit my lower lip. That's why the proximity alarm never sounded. The sensors don't know there's something out there. We'll have to go out and take a look, I said. Outside? She asked. Well, we have to find out what that thing is, what kind of damage it's done to the pod, I said. It just fried our drones, she said. We can be sure it did some damage to the pod. What if it zaps us? I unbuckled and pushed myself toward the hatch. You don't have to get close. If it zaps me, I'll need you there to bring me back in. Me? Her voice cracked. I redirected myself toward her, putting my hands firmly on her shoulders to stare into her eyes. Rosa, we can't just ignore it. We're 2 weeks out. Nobody can get to us in less time than that. We have to make sure it won't kill us before then. She nodded her head slowly. On the deck below, I pulled on my vacuum suit. By the time I needed help with the oxygen, she still hadn't come down. Damn it, Rosa, I can't do this alone, I called. Rather than pushing herself quickly along, Rosa descended the ladder rung by rung. I turned and waited for her to snap my pack on. She worked deliberately, tightening straps beyond the point of tightness. When she was done, she said nothing. I turned to find anguish in her face. I know you don't want to do this, I said. Believe me, I don't want to either. Maybe we should call dispatch, she said. They could advise us. We have to go out there, I said. Now or later, the sooner we go, the better it will be. But what if they know something, she asked. We don't know anything, I said. How would dispatch know if we don't? She nodded slowly, her eyes searching the space around me. Okay, but the first sign of trouble. While I helped her with her suit, I wanted to assure her that it would be okay. By that point, she would know I was lying. Whatever we found out there, it was likely to be bad, even if that just meant lost cargo. When we finally cleared the airlock, I felt a familiar dread wash over me. While I once enjoyed leaving the ship this way, I no longer did. Life inside a space vessel can feel confining. The EVA turns this completely around. The absence of limits plays with your head. Having nothing to get your bearings meant you felt forever unbalanced. It's like one of those old vids where the hallway got rapidly longer. Only that feeling comes at you from every direction. The Keras is not a large ship, but that's relative. We pull cargo to and from Saturn. To make that work, we have to be able to carry a lot. It took us some time to move the vessel's length, hand over hand along the hull. 10 minutes of grabbing, releasing, pivoting, and shifting. Each of those minutes meant another comment from Rosa, another request to go back. As I neared the mass, I finally said, I see it. From her voice, I could tell it wasn't what she wanted to hear. She came up behind me, grabbing my leg to steady herself. The thing was much like we saw through the drones. From the neighboring cargo pod, we got a better sense of its size. It was approximately 2 meters wide, with similar dimensions at the top and bottom. From this angle, we could also see it had depth. It was no more than 0.5 meter thick at any point. The flashing lights within it still had no discernible pattern. They pulsed at different rates from all points of the thing. From 5 meters away, I trained a light on the object. The stains seemed to absorb the light. I hadn't noticed this when the drones were out here. Look at how it doesn't show any contours. I can't see the thing's surface, I said. Rosa didn't respond. I strained to see her at my side. Her eyes were large, her mouth hanging open. The 8 drones floated nearby. I got close enough to grab one. It didn't appear damaged at all. No scoring, no punctures, nothing. I pushed it toward Rosa. Rosa opened the drone's panel, reached inside, and reset it. I watched the drone come back to life. "Circuitry looks good," she said. I retrieved the other drones and directed them to her. She lined them up and reset each one individually. "Looks like they all work," she said. I pulled myself back to her by my tether. "What does that tell us?" "That we should get the hell out of here before it deactivates us?" she asked. "Maybe it didn't see them as a threat," I said. She snorted. "Great. Let's not wait until it decides we are." She was right. The blackness may have exercised its full power on the drones, but that wasn't likely. Even if it was, could we withstand it? "How far out were the drones when it disabled them?" I asked. "Less than a meter," she said. "How much less?" I asked. "Just don't get closer than a meter," she said. "Try to think of something I can use to reach it. Maybe an antenna, anything long and thin," I said. She tilted her helmet, stopped suddenly, and pointed. "What about the railing? Can we use a section of the hold bars?" I moved toward where she pointed. With my drill in hand, I quickly removed a section of railing and brought it back to her. The pulses within the dark lump continued to flash intermittently. I maneuvered the rail toward it. As the metal breached the meter distance, something happened. The flashes began to concentrate in the area closest to the approaching rail. Before I could react, a flash of electricity jumped from the patch into the long metal rod. I let go, but it sent me flying, the tether yanking me back before I got too far away. "Dag!" Rosa shouted. "Are you okay?" The shock startled me more than anything else. In fact, reaching the end of the cable was more painful than the charge I received. "I guess," I said. "You guess?" she asked. "What do we do now?" I asked. "Let's go back in," she said. "We'll come up with something." I closed my eyes and floated for a moment. With my fingers tight around the tether, I drew myself back toward the ship. Rosa reached out and caught me, pulling me to her. I placed my hands on her shoulders and pushed my helmet down against hers, wanting her to feel the words as well as hear them. "We can't go back until we figure this out. I know you're scared. Believe me, so am I. But we have to know what that thing is, what it's doing," I said. I could see her eyes open wide. She grabbed me and pointed. "Eject the pod!" I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. If it were one container, removing it would solve the problem. If it had spread, we could eject wherever it was. We could let someone else sort it out. "Okay, but we'll do it manually," I said. "We can't afford to have it short out the ship." Rosa didn't argue. "What do you need me to do?" "Just stay here," I said. "Watch it. I'll go beneath the pod." She let go of me, her head shaking. I slid between the containers, easing myself down toward the ship's spine. Manually unlocking a pod was no small task. I couldn't remember the last time I'd done it, but it took effort. The space beneath the container was even more cramped. Here and there were cables I had to navigate. After a few minutes of maneuvering, I was at the first of 4 locking mechanisms. 3 clamps and a lock later, I was ready to release it. Even with limited room to move, the lack of gravity made leverage difficult to achieve. The latch finally released. "Got the first," I announced. "Dag, something's happening," she said. I stopped and looked around at what little I could see. "Happening? Like what?" "I don't know," she said. "The lights are changing color." "It's not growing or moving or anything like that, right?" I asked. "Not that I can tell." Her voice trailed off. I started toward the next locking mechanism. This second one was on the same side of the pod. To remove the last 2, I would have to back out and go around to the other side. "I'll take a look when I get this next one. Tell me if it does anything else." Rosa was silent. I hardly noticed the time pass as I worked on the latch. When it finally gave, I started backing out. I didn't get far before I found my boot snagged on one of the cables. I tried moving forward, towing the cable to clear it. The maneuver worked, but another cable hung in the way. Rosa, I may need you to come down here. I keep getting stuck. Silence. Rosa? I called. They're really beautiful, she said, sounding calm, even sleepy. What are you talking about? I asked. The colors, she said. My heart started to race. I tried again to back myself out, but my boot caught on one of the cables. Rosa, what's the thing doing? It's beautiful, Dag, she whispered. I pushed against the pod above and the spine below to hold myself in place. In that position, I kicked at the cable over and over until I felt it give. Rosa, talk to me. What's it doing? I managed to clear the bottom of the container. Working as quickly as I could, I pulled myself up from between the pods. When I'd cleared them, I finally saw Rosa. She was at the end of her tether, hovering close to the stain. I didn't see anything different about it. The flashing strobes were just as they'd been when we first saw them. The splotch appeared unchanged. I had no idea what she was seeing. Rosa! I shouted as she reached a hand toward it. The darkness did not react as her finger arrived. I launched myself, stretching out toward her. Her glove disappeared into the darkness of the object. Lights flickered around her wrist, gathering, building. Her arm was past her elbow when I reached it. I grabbed her boot and felt the same charge as before. It shot through her, launching me backwards. I tumbled away, snapping against the end of my tether and falling to the neighboring pod. As I recovered my bearings, I watched her continue into it. Rosa! I screamed. Her legs slowly vanished into the mass as I launched toward her again. At the end of my tether, I searched the darkness for any sign of her. The pulses continued exactly as they had before. The shape seemed unchanged. Rosa? I called her name over and over. I don't know how long I stayed there. Minutes seemed to stretch into hours. The flickering sparks of the black patch were all I could think about. Time no longer seemed to matter. When I finally shook my daze, I found the glints had changed. They were colorful, beautiful. Yellow, green, and blue flashes danced around, inviting me forward. I remembered Rosa's voice, her words describing it, her reverence. The colors changed to red, violet, and orange, flickering into a whirlpool. The red flashes reminded me of something. I thought of roses. I pulled back my hand. My breath was fast, my heart pounding. Grabbing the tether, I returned to the neighboring pod. My head began to clear. I slid down the other side of the pod, working my way around the patch. Once I had removed the two remaining locking mechanisms, I released the container from the ship. The massive compartment started to drift away. I gave it a push. As it cleared the other pods, the sparks flared once in the stain, then dimmed to darkness. I worked up and down the other pods, finding none with any signs of the strange material. Satisfied that I had isolated the problem, I returned to the ship. Back on the flight deck, I dispatched one of the drones as a beacon for the wayward pod. The container traveled along with the Karis for a long time, slowly drifting away. I checked in on it periodically, sending drones to circle it. The patch never changed, never moved. It was the last time I made that run. When I arrived at the dock on Titan, I informed the company that we'd lost a pod. Then I found a buyer for the Karis. With the proceeds from that sale, I returned to the gardens of Callisto. Though I searched, I never found the woman who inspired my story. She was gone, but the scent of roses remained in the hydroponics dome. I have no idea why I even looked for her. By then, the smell of a rose held a new meaning for me. End of The Vestige by C.A. Wynn.